Good day, everyone. So today we'll be working on the packet tracer activity entitled Configure Initial Router Settings. This is 10.1.4 packet tracer activity under ITN. So first, we open our packet tracer file. Okay, and let's just push this a little to the right so we'll be able to see it while we work on our packet tracer activity. Okay, so this activity would have the following objectives. First, verify the default router configuration. Next, configure and verify the initial router configuration. And finally, save the running configuration file. For this activity, as a background, we'll be performing basic configuration tasks. So we'll be able to secure access to the command line interface and console port using both encrypted and plain text passwords. We'll also configure messages for users who are logging in into the router remotely. So these banners warn unauthorized users that access is prohibited. And finally, we will be able to verify and save our running configuration. So this activity is divided into three parts. Part 1, verify the default router configuration. And then we have part 2, configure and verify the initial router configurations and the following steps. And the final is saving the running configuration file. Okay, so let's begin with part 1, step 1. Okay, so as we can see, the packet tracer file does have one PC with the name PCA or an end device and a router which is named R1. Okay, so let's establish a console connection to R1, of course, from PCA. Okay, so we choose a console cable from among the connections. So from the connections, we have several options, and we are to choose this console cable. So click the console cable. Moving on to the steps, we press PCA and select RS232 as its connection or interface. And for R1, we are also to select console. Okay, so next console. There you go. So let me again get the instruction. So we're done with attaching a console cable between the PCA and R1 using the following interfaces. Okay. Now we'll go to step 1D. We click our PC, okay, and right on the desktop tab, okay, we'll be choosing terminal. Okay, so the terminal configuration has the following default values: 9600 bits per second, 8 data bits, none for parity, 1 for stop bits, and none for flow control. So we just accept these default values by pressing in the OK button. So let's press OK. And you'll see as I scroll up, these are the initialization informations of the router. And if we are to press the enter button, so you'll see that we have the router with a greater than sign, which means we are in the user exec mode of the router. Okay, so let's again get a pic, of the instruction within the packet tracer. Actually, we have nothing to do anymore with the PCA and the R1 except connecting the console cable. So let's now proceed to step 2. Okay, we're done with step 1 and moving on to step 2. We enter the privilege mode and examine the current configuration. Okay, so the current mode of operation we're in is the user exec mode. So we'll be able to identify because the prompt is a greater than symbol. So to be able to go to the privilege exec mode, the command we need to enter is enable. Okay, so type in enable and press the enter button. So notice that the prompt has changed now from the greater than sign to the number sign or the hashtag symbol. Okay, so let's scroll the instruction to letter B. Okay, we are to enter the show running dash config command. Okay, so let's show running dash config command. So by the way, we all know that commands in iOS, uh, once it's already unique, we can have it in a shortcut mode, such as for show running configuration, we can actually just have the show run command. Okay, so this would also give us the same function. Why? Because there is no other command which starts with run. Okay, so show run. Okay, once we press the enter button, this builds the configuration and displays the following information. Okay, uh, pressing the enter button would give us one line of configuration at a time, but if we want to see screen wide amount of configuration, so we'll just press the spacebar. Okay, so this gives us the configurations of the router. So let us again scroll up to see where it began. So from here, okay, so these are the services, the host name, the CF, license, spanning tree, interfaces, okay. And then the other configurations, such as the line configuration. So for now, this doesn't have any configurations yet. Okay, so let's proceed and answer the questions under step 2B. What is the router's host name? So we found it on the configuration. The host name currently is router. Okay, don't forget to answer or place your answer on the manual that will be sent to you in the document format. Okay. So next, how many fast Ethernet interfaces does the router have? So for the interfaces, scrolling down, fast Ethernet, so this can be found here. So if we are to count, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 fast Ethernet interfaces. So that's fast Ethernet 0 slash 1 slash 0 slash 1 slash 2 and slash 3. So we have a total of 4 fast Ethernet interfaces on our router. So don't forget to put in your answer here. Next question, the gigabit Ethernet interfaces, we have 1 and 2. Gigabit Ethernet 0 slash 0 and 0 slash 1. Next, serial interfaces. We also have 2 serial interfaces. What is the range of value shown for the VTY lines? Okay, so the VTY lines can be found here at the end of the configuration, and that is line VTY space 0 space 4. 0 to 4 is actually the range of our VTY lines. So that's 0 to 4, right? Okay, so now let's proceed to letter C. Display the current contents of the NVRAM. Okay, so we are to display the current content of the NVRAM by typing in the command show startup-config. Okay, so let's type that in fully. Show startup-config, right? Okay, so let's press the enter button and it says startup config is not present. Why do you think it's telling us that startup config is not present? It's because the configuration file is not saved on the NVRAM yet. Okay, so it's not saved on the NVRAM yet. Currently, it's still saved on the RAM. So we only have the configuration on the running configuration. Okay, so that would be the answer for that question. So moving on. Okay, but before that, let us check on the packet tracer activity. Under the instruction on the lower right, you'll see a completion percentage since we did some few uh, activities here, or we just did part 1. We were able to complete 20% of the needed steps. Okay, so let's go and proceed to step 2. Sorry, step 2. Why are we at the bottom? So let's go to part 2 rather. So let's go to part 2 now. Okay, for part 2, configure and verify the initial router configuration. Okay, just reminder, we may be required to move between various configuration modes, and that would be aside from the user exec mode and the privilege exec mode, you'll also be introduced to the global configuration mode. Okay, so let us go to step 1 now. So configure the initial settings on R1. So take note, if we have a difficulty remembering the commands, as we had discussed on our ITN for the second module, specifically module number 2. So the commands are the same as how we configured the switch. Okay. So let's go to the global configuration mode so that we can accomplish steps A to C. Okay, so from the privilege exec mode with the hashtags prompt, so let's go to the global configuration mode by typing in configure terminal, which we know a config ter command would also do the same purpose. So let me just type in exit and press the enter button. So I'm back to the privilege exec mode. Now I wanted to type config or even just conf-ter. Okay, so just press enter, and now we are in the global configuration. So this is the mode where we will be doing the next step on our activity. So first we configure R1 as the host name. Okay, so we type in the command to do that is just type in hostname R1. Currently, the name of the router is the word router. Okay, if we press enter, notice that router has changed now to R1. So which means we were able to change the host name. Next is letter B, configure message of the day text. Okay, message of the day or our banner, okay, is accomplished by using the command banner space motd, okay, and then any symbol such as ampersand to start the string of messages we want to be displayed. Unauthorized access is strictly prohibited. Okay, we can put some exclamation points and the same character to end the banner MOTD string. Okay, so press the enter button and it's expected that that would be applied already. Okay, next, letter C, encrypt all plain text passwords. Okay, but before we do step C, I want to proceed to C1, 2, and 3 first. Okay, I want you to know how it's different or what would be the effect of encrypting all plain text passwords. Okay, so let's proceed with the privilege exec unencrypted uh, passwords first. Okay, so we do this still in the global configuration mode by typing in enable password. So what is the password asked? So we are to use Cisco. So again, the command is enable space password space and then your defined password. Okay, so we will be using Cisco. Press enter. Another privilege exec mode password is required, and this time it must be encrypted. For it to be different, we will be using the command enable secret. Okay, so enable secret, and the password that has to be used is it's a secret, right? Enable space secret space it's a secret. So we can change here in the definition of the passwords, we can change Cisco, we can change it's a secret to any defined or our choice of password. But for the completion of this activity, since it's stated on the instruction, so we are to use Cisco and it's a secret respectively. Okay, so press enter button. And the last one is put in a password on the line console, meaning when somebody logs into your router remotely, so what should be the password? Okay, initial logging in into the router. So we use the line console 0. Okay, the first line console 0. Press enter. So notice that our mode of operation is now in the line configuration mode because there is a dash line appended to the config word. Okay, so which means we are inside line console 0 now. So we assign a password here by typing in password. Okay, and what is the required password to be used? It should be let me in. One word. Let me in. Password space let me in and press enter. When setting a password to the line console, we must not forget to type in login so that the password applies during login. Press enter and let's go out of the line configuration mode and go back to the global configuration mode, or rather the privilege exec mode. Okay, so again, if we move this a little to the right, so completion is at 70%, so which means we're almost done. Okay, or we're way beyond half of the activities which we need to do. Okay, step 2, verify the initial settings on R1. Okay, so how do we verify the initial settings on R1? We already used this a while ago. So we'll be typing in the show running config or just show run, press enter. Okay, notice what has been changed. Okay, Host name now is R1. Previously it was router. Enable secret, we have a secret password which is actually encrypted. We have the password Cisco. Okay, press enter. So we didn't made any changes on these items of the configurations yet, as well as the interfaces. For the line console 0, we set a password which is let me in. Okay, and no more. Okay. Oh, sorry. We also did assign a banner MOTD, right? So this is our banner MOTD. Okay. Now, we skipped step 1, right? A while ago because I wanted you to see how we'll be encrypting all plain text passwords in our configuration. So to do this, we must apply a service to our router. Okay, so a service, and we must again go to global configuration mode. Okay, and type in service password encryption. Okay, service space password dash encryption, and then press enter. Okay, now we wanted to see the running configuration again. So let me just show you. If we type in show run from the global configuration mode, that would give us an error because show run only runs on the privilege exec mode, most of the show commands. Okay, but there is a way for us to run to 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 run the show commands within the global configuration mode. So we just add do show run. So if we are not in the privilege exec mode, we can still issue the show commands by appending do before the word show. So do show run. So this builds the configuration. So what has changed? We now have a service, which is the service password encryption. Nothing has changed here, but the enable password has been encrypted. All right, so that's the purpose of the service password encryption. So let me scroll down to all our. Okay. So notice that the line console password is also now encrypted. Before, the enable password is Cisco in plain text. The the line console password is let me in plain text. When we did the service password encryption, okay, this one, and again did show run, we notice there is now a service password encryption service, and the enable password is now encrypted. Let me check. The line console password is now also encrypted. Okay, so that's the difference between using the service password encryption on our router. So it encrypts all plain text passwords which we had assigned, right? Okay, so now we're done with this one. We were able to verify the initial settings and we use the show running config here. Okay, so please put in your answer on the document. Next, we exit the current console session until we see the following message. So to go to the other modes of operation, we just type in exit or end. So we again type in exit, and this is what the instruction is telling us. So we exit until we see the following message. So R1 con 0 is now available. Press return to get started. Okay, so we press enter. Okay, and we should see the following. Unauthorized access is strictly prohibited with the double exclamation point. Okay, so this is our banner MOTD. And we are asked of a password, right? Question: why should every router have a message of the day banner? So what do you think is the purpose? The message of the day serves as a warning to unauthorized users, telling them that access is prohibited, or it can also be used to send messages to a network engineer or a network administrator for any purpose that would serve them. Okay, but most especially it serves as a warning. Okay, notice that my CLI for the router has already expired, so we may need to press enter again. Okay, so we press enter, and again we can see the banner. We just need to type in our password. So which among the passwords should we key in? Remember, we assigned an enable password, an enable secret, and a line console password. Which do you think? Yes, it's the line console password. So the line console password is let, sorry, let me type that again. Okay, expired ulit. So password is let me in. So I actually typed in let me in. Notice that the cursor has not moved or is not displaying any special character such as an asterisk. So it just gets whatever you type into your keyboard. So let me just press enter. Let me in was accepted. That's why I was led to the user exec mode. Okay. Now, okay. If you are not prompted for a password before reaching the user exec prompt, what console line command did you forget to configure? So if we are not asked of a password, the login command should have been forgotten. But of course, we typed in login after we set the line console password. That's why we were asked of the let me in password. Okay, so we type in let me in. So enter the passwords necessary to return to privilege exec mode. So to go to the privilege exec mode, we type in enable, right? Enable, and then we are asked of again the password. So this is now our privilege exec mode password. So we were able to use let me in. So what do we use now? Will it be Cisco or will it be it's a secret? Let's try both. So I'm typing in Cisco now and press enter. So if it prompts you to type a password again, so that means we have a wrong password. So this time let me type in it's a secret, press enter, and we were led to the privilege exec mode. Okay, question. Why would the enable secret password allow access to the privilege exec mode and the enable password no longer be valid? Bakit kaya? It's because the enable secret password overrides the enable password. Okay, so basically, when we did enable secret, that already covered up the enable password Cisco. So the password we use now to go to the privilege exec mode is it's a secret. Okay? Okay. Next question. If you configure any more passwords on the router, are they displayed in the configuration file as plain text or in encrypted form? What do you think? Since we applied the service password encryption, any password that will be set onto our router will no longer be displayed as plain text but will be encrypted, just how it did for the enable password and the line console password, right? Oh, we're now down to the last part of the activity. So we are to save our running configuration to our NVRAM. Okay. Letter A, you have configured the initial settings for R1. Now, back up the running configuration to our NVRAM to ensure that the changes made are not lost if the system is rebooted or it loses power. So what command should we enter to save the configuration to the NVRAM? Okay, so before the startup config is not present, right? So now we are to copy it. Copy the running config to the startup config. So how do we do that? Copy running config to startup. Again, you can use the shortcut commands, huh? Copy your running config, startup config, and press enter. So it's asking us, is the destination file name startup-config? Yes, we press enter button. Destination file name, building configuration, and it's now okay. So this time, let's type in show startup config again. So press enter. Now we have the same configuration from the running configuration. So meron lang laman. The startup config now already contains the same configuration from our running configuration. Alright? So what is the shortest unambiguous version of this command? So the shortest command for the copy is copy startup config, running, actually copy running startup config. So this is the shortest we can do. So we're copying it again. So press enter lang. Okay lang naman na i-copy ulit. Okay? But next on our instruction is to optional na lang. So actually, we have already completed the exercise, but let's just do the step 2, which is an optional. So let's do it. Okay, so although we'll be learning more about managing the flash storage in a router in later chapters, let's do this as an added backup procedure where we can save our startup config file to our flash. By default, the router still loads the startup configuration from NVRAM, but if NVRAM becomes corrupt, we can restore the startup config by copying it over from the flash. Okay, so let's do the following steps. Okay, first, let's show our flash. Okay, show flash memory. Okay, how many files do we see? So we can see 1, 2, 3 files, right? Okay. There are 3 files. Okay. Which of these files would you guess is the iOS image? Which do you think is the iOS image? This one. Okay. The one with the .bin file extension is actually the iOS file, and also as indicated by the length. So this is the biggest file. Okay. Okay, why do you think this file is the iOS image? So we have already answered that question. Next, we copy startup config to the flash. So let's type in copy startup config to flash. Okay, again, copy space startup dash config space flash. Press enter. We are again asked of the destination file name. So what file do we want it saved on the flash? We just press the enter button. Same file lang naman. Okay, 1282 bytes copied on in 0.416 seconds. So copied na to our flash. So use the show flash command again to verify the startup configuration. Okay, so again, let's show flash. Okay, press enter. What do we notice now? We now have 4 files on our flash, and the fourth file is actually the startup config. So we were able to save it in our flash. Okay, that's it. We're done with our packet tracer activity. Configure initial router settings. Again, this is activity 10.1.4 on our ITN. Don't forget to submit in our OpenLMS the accomplished Word document file and submit your packet tracer activity as well. All right? Bye.